Hola muchachos, ¿qué tal? Buenos días. Aquí tienen el horario para hoy, martes el 26 de septiembre. You guys did have two homework assignments due for today. The first of which is the core workbook pages 16-17 and guided page 33. You can click on that, and I do believe there's a video that'll walk you through that assignment. And then also the Quizlet practice for chapter 1B, which is quite simply completing the flashcard, learn, and match practice activities, and upload three screenshots of you having successfully completed those three activities. So that is your homework for today, due by midnight tonight. No homework at all for Thursday. Need to change that. Jueves. No hay tarea para jueves. All right, daily objectives, comparing and contrasting extracurricular experiences, that you have and compare those to those of students in Latin America, and then to talk about what you guys typically do after school. Chapter 1B is all about your extracurricular involvement, stuff you guys are into in your free time. So we looked at the objectives for Chapter 1B last week. Being able to listen to and read about students' after school experiences, to talk and write about your own, and exchanging that information about what you do after school. Last class, we went over the vocabulary in Chapter 1B. This is on pages 46 and 47. You wrote this vocabulary in your notes, all the different extracurricular options that are available at school. And then we began to view this vocabulary in context, watching the video Después de las clases, and then you guys answered the comprehension questions at the very bottom. We're going to continue today with the vocabulario en uso on page 50 and 51, exercises 4 and 6. New notes on making comparisons, and then some guided practice on making comparisons in Espanol. Real quickly, your warm-up, as we are here in the agenda, ¿en qué te gustaría participar? Is asking, what would you like, what would you like to participate in terms of your extracurricular involvement? So in Spanish, pick one club, one sport, one fine or performing art, etc., that you would like to participate in before you graduate from Liberty, and why. So you're going to begin your response with me gustaría, which is I would like. Me gustaría participar in, and then fill it in an extracurricular. For example, en el club de matemáticas, and then just briefly say why. Porque mi materia favorita es la clase de álgebra, because my favorite subject is algebra. Me gustaría participar en el equipo de golf. Remember, el equipo is team. So try to use some of the new key vocabulary that we looked at last week. Porque me gusta jugar al golf en mis ratos libres. I like to play golf in my free time, in mis ratos libres. So one club, sport, or extracurricular, and why. All right, back to page 50. Let's take a look at these two practice activities. Vocabulario en uso. So the objective here is to talk about your own leisure activities, and again, talking about and sharing those activities with your classmates. So for exercise 4, I'd ask you to complete the phrases with the appropriate word. We have two options for each of these blanks, You're going to use the general context to inform your answers. You can go to page 68. Yeah. 68 has a glossary of all the vocabulary. We didn't go over all the terms. We mainly focused on just the extracurricular vocab, but there are some other terms that might prove useful to know as well, or not even useful, but needed. So let's take a look back at page 50 and get you started on exercise 4. All right, mis amigos y yo blank en muchas actividades extracurriculares. So we know the verb participar is the verb to participate. Volver is an ER verb. It's the verb, to return. And that doesn't really make sense here. So we know based upon the context, talking about extracurriculars, that the correct answer is participamos. All right, we'll do 2 and 3, and then I'll let you do the rest. Mi amiga Raquel tiene una buena voz, is voice. Reunión is a cognate. It means reunion or meeting. And really, to know for sure the correct answer to 2, we need to read on and do 3. Por eso, therefore, Raquel canta en el coro is choir, ensayo is an essay. So that doesn't make sense. Coro sure does. And if she sings in the choir, then she must have ella tiene una buena voz. So you're probably going to need to revert back to page 68. There are a few terms that we didn't go over together that are not cognates that you may want to look up and assist you in doing exercise 4. And then for exercise 6, it is a dialogue activity where you guys are facilitating the dialogue and asking one another, and you can do this with a partner, do you know a member of this club or organization? So this is meant to be a dialogue in pairs. Part A is the question, ¿conoces a un miembro de? Do you know? ¿Conoces a un miembro? A member of. And then you're going to fill in la banda, which is, of course, band, with the extracurricular that's provided here. So you're going to do 6 of these because there's 6 activities. So, for example, ¿conoces a un miembro de la banda? ¿Conoces a un miembro del club de ajedrez? Del equipo de natación? So the key vocabulary is pictured here. You're going to plug in that key vocabulary at the end of this question. And then you have some responses. Do you know a member of this organization? Well, sí, conozco a, and then, whoever. Put their name, Ryan Johnson. Or no conozco a ningún miembro de la banda. No, I don't know a member of the band. Or perhaps, we don't have a band. We don't offer a band. That might be an option. That might even be the case for chess. I don't know. So doing number 1 together. ¿Conoces a un miembro del club de ajedrez? I don't even know if we have a chess club. So no tenemos el club de ajedrez. If we do, I don't know any member. So either one of these would be correct for me. No conozco a ningún miembro, no member del club de ajedrez. All right, so practice that dialogue in pairs. Then we'll take some new notes on making comparisons, which is on page 52, yes? 53, forgive me. Making comparisons using tan with an adjective and como, and tanto or one of the variations of tanto, tanta, tantos, and tantas. Essentially, what you need to know here, and you can take a look at the notes as well, the guided notes that are in modules. ¿Dónde están? Aquí están. Making comparisons here. And that's also embedded in our agenda, so if it's easier to find there. So referring to those notes and taking a look at the grammar box, when we make comparisons of inequality, when things are not the same, in Spanish we use the formula más que to say that something is more than, menos que to say that something is less than, mayor que to say that something is greater or older than, and mejor que to say that something is better than. So this is probably review for you guys. More than, less than, mayor que would be older than, menor que younger than, mejor que better than, and peor que worse than. You could also use the definite article el, la, los, and las, plus the noun, and then adding más or menos que, más or menos de, to indicate a superlative. Superlative meaning, the best or the most, this or that. So these are some statements that you should be more or less familiar with. Now what we're adding is new information, are comparisons of equality, to say that two things are equal to each other. So tan and como roughly translate to as in English. And you can put an adjective in between, comparing two things as being equal to one another in whatever quality or adjective that you're providing. So for example, in mi club, levantar pesas, that's the first subject, lifting weights, es tan popular como correr. Lifting weights is as, and then my adjective is popular, como correr. So subject one, a verb, usually the verb ser, and then tan, adjective, como. To say that things are not equal, you could just negate that sentence, right? Just put no in front of tan, and then you have a sentence of inequality. Making comparisons of equality with tanto, we change to tanto whenever we're comparing a noun as opposed to an adjective. And because we're working with nouns, tanto changes to either tanta, tantos, or tantas, because tanto needs to agree in gender and number with the noun that's being compared. For example, hay tantas actrices en el ensayo como actores. Actriz, actress, or actrices is a feminine plural noun. And so tantas also needs to agree in gender, feminine, and number, plural. That's how we get to tantas. So to give you guys a little bit of practice, we're going to do exercises 10 and 11. So for exercise 10, you're filling in the blank with either tan or tanta, tan, or any one of the variations of tanto. Could be tanto, tanta, tantos, or tantas. The easy way to navigate these is just to look at the word that's in between. If that word is an adjective, then you're always going to use tan to make that comparison. Tan is only used with adjectives. If that word in between is a noun, person, place, or thing, all nouns in Spanish have gender and number, and so we're going to get a variation of tanto for those. So for looking at the first two, la canción de Mercedes es blank, buena. You guys know buena means good, which is an adjective, which would make us or lead us to use tan in that comparison. La canción de Mercedes es tan buena como la de Enrique. For number two, deportista, may or may not recall from last year. Deportista, any suffix with ista is going to be an adjective. Actually, I take that back. Could be a noun as well, but normally an adjective. In any case, if you were to look up deportista, it means sporty, athletic, if you will. That's an adjective as well. So, Elena no es tan deportista como Angelica. Another clue would be the verb that they use. The verb ser is the verb to be, and so we're going to use it more often than not with an adjective because you're describing what something is like. Something is good, something is sporty. If you use tener or haber, like in number 4, or tener, as you can see, used exclusively for exercise 11, that's usually going to be the verb, or usually going to be tanto, because you're quantifying something, right? You're saying that something has as much or as many as something else. So the verb to have, tener, would be a logical verb to go with tanto. And then finally, exercise 11. Todos hacemos comparaciones. We all make comparisons. Now you guys are going to do or complete the following phrases using the appropriate form of tanto. So, a few things you need to do here. To put these sentences together, first conjugate the verb provided in the subject provided at the very beginning. That's step 1. So, tener in the yo form would be tengo. Yo tengo, I have. And then one of the variations of tanto. So if we're going to do amigos, amigos is masculine plural. The masculine plural form of tanto would be tantos. So to complete this sentence, yo tengo, or yo no tengo, either way, tantos, Tantos, tantos amigos como Luz. I have, or I don't have, as many, tantos, as many friends as Luz. Number 2, and then I'll let you do the rest with the partner. Este año nosotros tenemos, or no tenemos, profesores is masculine plural. Kind of messed up. There should be a gender neutral option when it's mixed gender, but it is what it is in the language. Profesores being masculine plural would be tantos, so just like what we did for number 1. Este año nosotros tenemos tantos profesores interesantes como el año pasado. So 2 steps. Step 1, conjugate your verb according to the subject. Step 2, pick the form of tanto according to the gender and number of the noun that comes in the middle to make sure that tanto agrees in gender and number with that noun. All right, y'all, that is your agenda for today. No homework at all for Thursday. Have a wonderful midweek, and I will see you again on Thursday. Nos vemos el jueves, muchachos. Hasta luego.